You and I are going wine shopping together. You can find a sensational bottle of wine for criminally low prices. Let's get started exploring and tasting new wines together. Hello again, my lovelies. Thank you so much for joining me in opening another bottle of wine. And we have a really lovely one this week. This is a white wine that I come to time and again because it is A, so delicious, but also because it's an incredible value. It's so affordable. The country that it's from is, in my opinion, one of the best places to find value wines in the whole world. Reds, whites, rosés, across the board, just killer wines. And this region that we're gonna focus on is arguably one of their most famous, and it's known for white wines that share the name of the region. So pack your bags because we are headed to Portugal and the region of Vinho Verde. The Vinho Verde region is found in the very northwestern part of Portugal and right on the coast of the Atlantic Ocean, which borders it on the western side. This plays a hugely important role in the climate of Vinho Verde, which is very different from the more arid southern part of Portugal. They're hot, dry, sandy beaches. No. Vinho Verde, and especially its subregions along the coast, are very maritime influenced, with lots of rain. This is the reason behind one of the theories on how Vinho Verde got its name, which means green wine, and that's because it's from such a green, lush area. The other theory that why it's called green wine is from the grapes themselves, because they are picked pretty early, and also the wines are bottled early, only a few months, 3 to 6 months after harvest. The subregions of Vinho Verde that lie more inland are protected a bit from those coastal influences and tend to make wines that are a bit rounder with higher alcohol than their western counterparts. This area is categorized by a lot of small producers, and like the rest of Portugal, you're going to find a ton of indigenous grapes planted here. This is one of the reasons that Portugal is such a singular winemaking country. You're seeing pretty much only indigenous varietals here, names that are not familiar. There's not a ton of Chardonnay, there's not a ton of Cabernet Sauvignon. Portugal has wholly embraced its native grapes, and they make amazing wines. In Vinho Verde, you're finding grapes like Alvarinho, the same as the Spanish Albarino, also grapes Loureiro, Arinto, Trejadura, Aveso, Azal, all really cool grapes that bring different things to a blend, which most of these wines are. You'll also see that a lot of the vines here planted in these small producers' vineyards are trained high up off of the ground, sometimes wrapping around trees, fences, even telephone poles. This both protects the grapes from the threat of mildew by keeping it up off the ground, gives it nice airflow to protect it, and it also allows the families to plant vegetables and other produce underneath the vines for their families. So, Vinho Verde, the name of the region, the name of the wine, but not the name of the grapes in the wine. As well as still, Vinho Verde can also be sparkling, it can be late harvest, and it can even be a brandy, which I have never tried before and I'm very curious to taste. And something unique that you'll notice about these still white wines is that they're a little fizzy. That started happening originally when the wine hadn't quite finished fermenting before being bottled. Remember that these wines are traditionally bottled 3 to 6 months after harvesting the grapes, and so the wine was still going through an additional fermentation process known as malolactic fermentation and releasing a little bit of CO2 bubbles. Producers continued with that practice, finding that consumers enjoyed that little bit of effervescence, and that's why they started using these opaque bottles to kind of hide the turbidity and sediment that was going on during this additional fermentation in the bottle. Now, a lot of producers don't do that anymore. What they're gonna do is they're gonna artificially inject a little carbonization into this wine afterwards. And that is one of the great markers if you're practicing your blind tasting and you're figuring out, is this a Vinho Verde in my glass? Is this also potentially an Albarino from the Spanish region of Rías Baixas, which is very similar in climate and style to Vinho Verde? It's those little bubbles in the glass. You can see that little fizz. If I look in this glass right now, I see tiny little bubbles in here. So I'm thinking, little gas in this still white wine. This could be a Vinho Verde or an Albarino from Rías Baixas in my glass. So already, without even smelling or tasting it, I have a little marker to maybe help me pare down what this wine is. Vinho Verdes are also lower in alcohol. They tend to be between 8.5% and 11% ABV. The majority of Vinho Verde wines are gonna be these still slightly fizzy white wines. It's almost become synonymous with the name, but you will sometimes find the rare red or rosé Vinho Verde. Those don't tend to be produced as much though because of that climate, because it is cooler, it's rainier. Those grapes that need to be a little bit riper to make a red wine or a rosé wine. They're not quite getting there. That's why the white wines thrive so well in this region. So this particular bottle I have in front of me is from a producer called Espiral, and this is from Trader Joe's for $4.99. Like, that's such a steal, such a deal. I seriously can't stress enough, Portuguese wine should be a go-to if you're just looking for serious bang for your buck, quality wines for incredibly low prices. It's just mind-boggling sometimes what they're doing there. And this is just fresh in a glass. So it's this really pale, gorgeous color. It's the straw, kind of silvery lemon color. That little bit of evidence of gas in there, the little bit of bubbles on the nose. It's just so bright and sunny and full in the glass. Just a beautiful bouquet of different citrus notes. There's ripe grapefruit in here, a little bit of lime, kiwi in this, other tropical fruits like mango and pineapple that I'm getting in there. It's also like a really ripe, juicy pear. I don't eat a lot of pears because maybe some of you, like me, don't love the grittiness, but when you get a really nice ripe pear, you're really getting some nice floral notes though too. You're getting honeysuckle, cherry blossom. And because, again, this is so close to the coast, you get this little hint, this whisper of brine, of sea spray and salt. That's the word I would say is synonymous. If I had to say one word to describe Vinho Verde, fresh. I'm gonna drink it now. Beautiful. Again, cooler regions tend to make wines with really nice steely backbones of high acidity. It's filling my mouth with water, begging me to take another sip of this wine, which I will. And you have, along with that lovely lifted acidity, the little hints of bubbles. They can't categorize this wine because it's so low in pressure technically that they can't label it as even semi-sparkling, but you do just get that little kiss, that little tickle of effervescence on your tongue. Effortless, easy wine to drink, but still fun and interesting. Light on the palate, light in body. Lovely finish of all those tropical fruits though, the mango, the pineapple, and the citrus too, getting zest now, the grapefruit zest. And the honeysuckle as well. Also just a melony note and a little bit of honey itself, not just the honeysuckle flower, but also just a little lusciousness of honey on the palate, very subtle. You know, now is the time of the year around the holidays when everybody's just getting so focused on red wines. I get it, it's cozy, especially in parts of the world that are chilly. You want a nice big red to curl up with, but don't forget about the white wines. There's just so much to do with this wine. It's so fun to play with, and it's a little fizzy, so it's like you're warming up for New Year's Eve and all the bubbles you're gonna open. You know, it's like the stretching before the workout. That's your Vinho Verde to your fully sparkling wines. And this is just such a people pleaser wine too. Pour this as a little greet glass if you're having a holiday party. Great wine to greet your guests with, but it's good with so much. This could be a great salad wine. This is gonna be great with any seafood. Again, coastal wine, what grows together goes together. Any seafood, sushi. Oh my gosh, if you're having a nice sushi dinner, this is gonna take you through the entire meal, just effortlessly. Any kind of veggie dish. And maybe if you're not in the chillier area this holiday season, maybe if you're in a beachier area, there's no better place to enjoy Vinho Verde than by the water. It's absolutely a beach wine. So keep this in mind too for when summer comes back, because again, this is $4.99. You could get a whole case of this wine, that's 12 bottles of wine, for just under $60. I mean, actually, I didn't even think about that math. That's really good. I could get 12 bottles of this for under $60. Sold. Easy. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've tried Vinho Verde before, what do you think of it? Do you love it as much as I do? If you haven't tried it. Try other Portuguese wines as well. Don't forget to check out Som TV because we have a ton of Portuguese content. We have a Portuguese masterclass and multiple parts on there that's just absolutely beautiful and informative. Again, wonderful place to explore if you want high-value wines across the board. But Vinho Verde is the place to start if you're going to be exploring Portuguese wines. So let me know what you think. And until we open our next bottle of wine together, cheers and keep exploring new wines.